Okay, to interrupt a 70-minute sound bath of C to B being, I don't know how they call it, increments, hertz, measures, markers. I don't know. So I guess the idea here, I was wanting to use into something. Okay, yeah, so going from the whole C to B thing, why do I have to sound important? That's so stupid. Okay, anyway, dude. So I'm wondering, okay, the Mandela Effect, right? We're going to be professional here. We're going to speak directly about how the Mandela Effect works. It's something I've comprehended, perhaps, experienced, perhaps, right. So the idea is that a chunk of time is taken away gradually, but why would that occur? So so what I thought, amidst movies, myths, all that good stuff. Um, what I genuinely thought, I think that it's when, say, your relative perspective goes into retrograde with itself. But hear me out. If we're if we're talking about the Mandela effect, and it's a loaded word, obviously, but if it goes into retrograde with itself, that would mean they would have to perceive itself fully. In which case, okay, so if I had to perceive myself fully, uh, I would go into retro. I would, in a way, in a sense, because if I perceive myself fully, the good and the bad, then it would gradually kind of, okay, so it gets to the fullest extent, the good and the bad. This is that, this is this. Maybe staying within some lines here or there. Thankfully, anyway. But anyway, it gets to a point where it is the end. Okay, so it says planets. And we're talking about a global. Oh! Okay, yeah, so the Mandela effect is a a quote unquote global effect in which perhaps let's say it goes into retrograde with itself, right? Let's say with itself, right? So let's say a planet, or from your relative perspective, right? So there is no, in the universe or whatever, there really isn't an outside. Except, I mean, there is. And, I mean, people think that. I mean, I believe that personally, actually. So I think it's like avoiding our question here. So, but the relative point of anywhere in this universe, right? So the Mandela effect, when described, is really a missing frame of time, or a missing uh, memory, if you will, like something that did occur, and you're relatively aware that it occurred, but you don't really have a way of describing that there was more to it than that, or is it just chalked up to, oh, didn't it used to be spelled that way because of, like, they said some shit about conspiracy theories. That's that direct route. um See, that's the point there. So if there's a that's relative to the Earth, right? So the Earth could go into a Mandela effect or retrograde, that is, in a sense where everything stops and goes the other way. That's retrograde with any two objects, anyway. Because at some point in time, one is spinning faster than the other all the time, right? One is spinning faster than the other, and it's the central, like in a centrifuge. It's like whatever's in the middle, whatever's in the middle. Fuck. Okay. However, these are human words. These are concepts that don't really, describe the Mandala effect. Um, these are astrological terms. Retrograde. Uh, these ideas are not what we think of when we think of it like a Mandela effect. So I guess what I'm trying to get to here is the explanation of, so if it's all relative to a planet, so other planet, its retrograde is different. So when one planet is experiencing a retrograde, the other is experiencing a return to normalcy. And that suggests nothing other than a shift in energies, a shift in two things sitting next to each other. You take one thing away, there's still, I know, but god damn it, I mean there is still an energy, if you will, that's taken away. It's just different. Oh, look, that's different. That's different. Those are both conscious decisions to make in my mind. So, if we're gonna try to get back to the Mandela effect, so there are, misperceived notions concerning conspiracy theories and or loosely based movies about like time changing and like going back in time changing. Okay, but yeah, like not necessarily the butterfly effect. We mean the Mandela effect. The Berenstain Bears. Everyone's heard that, or like when I just say that Berenstain Bears, I mean that some people really truly believe, and there's like photo evidence, and that's where the conspiracy theory part comes into play. Um, in my opinion, I think that these shifts or changes have occurred uh probably numerous times. So okay, see, that's so difficult to talk about because I had an entirely different preconceived notion of how a Mandela effect works, talking about relativity, and almost a retrograde with yourself, and reaching a full understanding of yourself. A full understanding, however, would come from multiple retrogrades to a level of a complete and utter shift in exchange and transfer of energy, more so an exchange. If, you know, one perceives every one thing this way, and it is that way, and then one perceives everything another way, and it is that way. And we're not necessarily talking about only people or planets. I'm sorry about that. But so let's talk about a human perspective, right? Let's talk about what would happen. Say, let's put those into human terms. Like, let's say that I go into retrograde within myself. And so, like, I come to a full understanding of myself, the good, the bad, the ugly, all relative to me. Everything that is around me, my experiences are all relative to me. Um, Perhaps the earlier statements concerning conspiracy theory type ideas, um, kind of hinder or block the fucking understanding of stuff like that in a way, but to its fullest extent anyway, if that makes any sense. So if one were to not understand the good, the bad, and the ugly, which in my opinion, astrologically speaking, is a constant occurrence. This is always going on. This never stops. We're, in planets, it's that never stops. However, we are humans currently on this earth. So at this point, we have abstract thought. We can understand things like time, which has unfortunately left us with a stain of just memory, basically just memory. And it's too many people. And how can we, sun? It's not really that time isn't an illusion. It's not like it's a real thing to us because we experience it and we perceive it. So, I mean, oh wow, yeah, the ties and everything, that changes things. But because we remember so well, we stay more within ourselves. Um, Meaning they still affect us, but we don't have to contemplate it as much. We're not like, oh my god, dude, like the waves or the ocean or anything, you know? And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that it's, oh, the waves again. Oh, the ocean again, or like, um, yeah, like those experiences start to, it's almost as though I don't need to comprehend. I'm just going to skip forward on to the next part and look for the next relation, if you will. It really is just like for learning and for something that I do, something I practice. It's almost like a rapid pace, like kind of, what do you call it? A rapid pace. Oh, I got it. Oh, I got it. Oh, I got it. Oh, I got it. Just assuming, like maybe say that you think that you're better under pressure or something. Then you can convince yourself to think that you're better under pressure, which is kind of the trick there in this idea, because it's gonna cut way faster to the root, and that's what humans are today. When we're talking about retrograde and planets and the way they interact, energy transfers and all that. So those are all major events for the planets and for the Earth and everything as well. So if those are macrocosms, right? Who's to say necessarily that they must reflect the microcosms? I'm just spitballing here. Let's say it's like it's not necessarily an equal and opposite, is it? Like I think they're just literally different existences, just based upon whatever. So I think what I'm trying to get at back to anyway is that because humans, here on this earth, the sun, uh, right there at the end of Orion's arm, um, full expansion, our sun, uh, represents a number of perfection actually. So it's a planetary square, or which can be derived from its annual movements and their angles and old shit, but 666. Our sun, this Earth here, you know, central star. Uh, what's cool about that number, obviously there's like, the beast or some shit, or some scary fucking bullshit. No, it's a really cool number. Like another cool number. Just throw it off there. So it's like 2520, right? 2,520 is a number, and it's basically the inverse of a prime number in a way. So a prime number can only be divided by itself in one. That's it, nothing else. So 2,520, however, can be divided by 9 evenly, 8, every single integer, all the way down, to, well, you can't divide by 0, but so people like to try. So if you started at 2520, the perfect number in which everything has an an end. There is no repetition, there's no odd division, and because of that, you could almost develop that into a kind of ah a programming, if you will. That number specifically, which are just build-upons, not yes no like binary code, not these sequences of longevity and time. No, it's not like that. Those sequences are different because it's just a simple yes no. Numbers. So this is where it'll get a little bit weird, but I really appreciate it if you're still here listening. It is this is an interesting concept. So yeah, so we're not talking about integers or whatever. Yeah. So it's more about fractions of Mandala's